Welcome to another episode of Revenue Rev Up TV. And today we're talking about sales and specifically how not to be so horrible at it. I know some of you don't like the word horrible. My team didn't like it. Some of my customers have already let me know, like, this is a terrible choice of word. I'm not horrible at selling, but still, could you possibly be a little better? So if you don't like spending a whole lot of time on the phone talking to people that don't want to buy from you, if you don't like slippery, gimmicky, tricky scripts, if you just love to connect with another human being and conduct more elegant, in a way, more effortless conversations that lead to more clients, more cash, and beyond it, more impact, then stay tuned because that's what we are talking about today. Once again, welcome to another episode of Revenue Rev Up TV. I'm yours truly, Adam Urbanski, also known as the Millionaire Marketing Mentor. And as usual, I've got my faithful cohort with me. And you ladies are...
I'm Lisa Benavides, the enforcer of Marketing Mentors team.
And I'm Bo Urbanski, the connector of the Marketing Mentors.
Right. We still need to work on that. Anyway, if you just did again for the first time, Revenue Rev Up TV is one of those interesting things that came out of our behind the scenes team meeting conversations, where we often get very irreverent on all sorts of different topics, business growth related. And we figured, hey, why not let people see or listen in or watch in on some of this stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So essentially we came up with Revenue Rev Up TV, which is designed to provide you with marginally helpful marketing advice and questionable entertainment value. That's what we aim for. So if that's what we hit, we're pretty good. So let's see, selling. What do we kick it off today?
I can kick it off with why sales are essential. Well, basically, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. But as we often in our banter around the business talk about, all activities in our life are pretty much selling, right, Lisa? When you want your kids to do something, you are selling them something, and they are selling you something in return as well, right?
Yeah.
So we are actually in business of selling in our life. That's the truth. And it's good to master that trade or that skill to be better in it. Well, as always, I have some trivia. I'm going to go really quickly through that. It's kind of related, but not related to what we are going to be talking about. But I find it fascinating, okay? So we are in the midst of pandemic. However, some of the companies are actually thriving in it. So did you know that it took Apple 42 years to get to 42 years to hit $1 trillion and just 2 years to get to 2 trillion. So as of last week, as of August 19th, they are the first company that hit $2 trillion mark. So That's admirable in the midst of the whole situation. And on a different spectrum, I just watched this documentary series about business of drugs. And as you know, so it's completely different, right? As you know, the cannabis got legalized in the state of California, where we have our headquarters. And in California, this business currently is valued at $20 billion. But it is projected that if legalized statewide or countrywide, it is a $50 billion business. So there are some people who are polishing their skills to just get into this business alone, just saying. And the third thing that I wanted to touch upon, if you want to polish your skills and listening to this episode might not be enough, there is a whole bunch of good books, like all the good books that are, walking you through getting better at it, like The Psychology of Selling from Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar's Secrets of Closing the Sale, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Alden Good, Dale Carnegie. One of my favorites, Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. And Adam, one of your friends and peers, Jill Conrath, Agile Selling. And of course, sales, great sales guy from California as well, Jack Daly, Hyper Sales Growth. And if that's not enough, Big Ticket Sales Machine by yours truly, Adam Urbanski.
Ta-da!
So that's it from me today.
Speaking of fastest path to cash and Big Ticket Sales Machine, should we, by the way, I love all this trivia, actually, before we go into giving the books away, you know, I love all this trivia. I don't know if you guys noted, but actually only 2% of sales are made on a first point of contact. Only 2% of sales. And I should have dug out more specific statistics and the source on this, but I remember from a presentation I put together once that 80% of sales are happening on a fifth of following point of contact. 80% of sales are happening on a fifth of following point of contact. And over 80% of sales professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners quit following up after just 3 attempts.
Wow.
So there is just a vast body of uncollected sales, you know, hence our methodology of spotlighting, going out there, interrupting people, asking for permission to present an offer is so effective because we're essentially scooping up all of this ocean of people that have been exposed to some information. They were looking for solution, but someone essentially gave up on them, right? They've reached out, they've contacted, they acquired some info. They might have developed initial desire to buy something, and then people stop following up. So anyway, big opportunity there. All right, Lisa, let's talk about our book and what can people do today to get one of those books?
Yeah, so this is the beautiful book that we have from Mr. Adam Urbanski. Short and simple read, but packed with so much value on how to get your fastest path to cash. So if you hear something interesting, valuable, or fun from today's episode, use the hashtag GOLD and share your takeaway or aha. And next week, we'll reveal a winner who will get this book. So you got to comment hashtag GOLD with your takeaway to be eligible to win, and we'll pick one winner every week and announce it the following episode. So from last week, quick shout out, Christine Glein. Thanks for commenting. You shared a lot of gold, or you got a lot of gold out of what we shared last week, and we're going to send you one of these books. So make sure you send us a private message and let us know where we can send that to you.
Here's a cheerleading squad for Kristen. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Secondly, if you would like to get our free guide called Rapid Cash and Clients, we'd love to send you this report that Adam has. It's, again, jam-packed, valuable information that you can implement really quickly because we're all about action here. And it will get you immediate results. That's our free report. So use hashtag RAPID and we'll send that your way. And finally, if you want more information on Revenue Rev Up Intensive, which is the program that we take our clients through to take their annual income and turn it into their quarterly income, use hashtag RevUp and we will connect with you on that.
So I want to know, how come you are so much better at pitching our stuff that I am, Lisa? Like, how is that possible? What's going on here?
I don't know. I think it might be a mind thing because I feel like you do a better job than I do.
You know, I guess I always get into this self-depreciating or self-deprecating humor and kind of poo-poo and downplay our offers. I've got to like see a shrink about that. Something is going on there. Well,
I know that it's good stuff. So I don't feel like I have that problem, but it's more of, I think I get excited and then I get a little tongue-tied and then I think I'm rambling and I just want to get to the point and then I don't know. But I already see Karen is wrapping up or grabbing the rapid, using that hashtag rapid. She wants that goodness. So Karen, we'll make sure to get that to you.
I also have a
shout out. Sorry, Bob, I'm going to talk over you here. And then you can talk over me. So that word horrible is horrible. You know, it's interesting because when the minute we came up with a topic, both of you immediately said, like, that's not a good title. I'm like, nah, what do you know? I want to use the negative spin on this one. Let's go with a horrible. And sure enough, Karen is the first one raising their hand going like, nah, I don't like that word. So thanks for that. And by the way, thanks for the shout out about the book, Karen. I appreciate that. So, Bo, you were saying?
One of the things that struck me when you were saying that Lisa is better at pitching our stuff is that sometimes it's easier for us to talk about somebody else's stuff, and sometimes we see things differently. So as we often say, it's we all have to drink our own Kool-Aid and believe in the value of our offer.
So true. So true. So, you know, today, I appreciate you mentioning all those books, Bo. I had a book of my own to mention, and it's by Harry Brown, and it's called The Secrets to Selling Anything. If you've been a part of our Revenue Rev Up Intensive Game, RRI, you have definitely heard me talk about this, and hopefully you have read this. It's an old book. It was, I think, published in somewhere like early 2000s. But it was put together from a compilation of some manuscripts from this guy, Harry Brown, which, by the way, is a fascinating character, a very interesting persona to study. But in my opinion, I've read, I think, if not all, and probably most of the books Bo has mentioned on sales. And I found that one, The Secrets to Selling Anything by Harry Brown, really one of the most impactful, because it really dug into something that I want to talk about a lot today, which is less of a tactical or even less of a strategic, but more of a mental game to selling. So this isn't about the overall sales system. This isn't about lead gen, or fanatical prospecting from Jab, or this isn't about getting into the war zone and overcoming objection. It really is about just managing your own state and your own outlook on what selling is, what isn't, how can you be more effective in having relationships with people or conversations with people that actually enable them or entice them to make a decision sooner rather than later, and make a decision for a yes rather than a no for buying from you. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. All right.
So tell us, Adam, what selling isn't.
Gosh, if I know what selling isn't, so I think that, like, for me, what comes up immediately, let me actually switch the view in here to be like this. I think what comes up for me is that most of us are brought up with this idea that selling is somehow manipulating people or getting something, that someone is going to be disadvantaged. In other words, for someone to win, someone else has to lose. And, so many of us are brought up with this stereotypical, stigmatic almost image of a used car salesman, right? It's like, what can I get you for today? And it really has nothing to do with providing any goodwill or any value or any care about the person that comes to us to make a purchase, but it's all about how can I make a buck and how can I screw another person in the process. And it really, I think, historically, and it's changing, I think, and I'm so grateful that it is, because nothing in the world happens without selling. Like, if you think about it, everything we get to do right now, we have electricity, we have internet, we have microphones, computers, bottled water, coffee, chair we sit on, everything, in order for this to make its way into our environment, had to be sold repeatedly, multiple times, from the idea to produce something to all the raw ingredients being sold from the source to a middleman, from a middleman to manufacturer, from manufacturer to another middleman, from a middleman to a retailer, from retailer to us. Like, all of it had to find its way. And every step of the way, there was a salesperson involved, right? Yet we have this stigmatic image that selling is like a boxing game. Two people get in the game and boom, they start duking it out again. In order for one to walk away with money, with credit card, someone else has to lose. How is that?
I got speechless. I got muted. That's pretty good. It's like, yes, it's that we consider sales a lot of people consider sales a fight, which is not a good mindset. I much prefer like this mutual assessment of whether we fit or not, whether we can do something for you in exchange for money.
Yeah. So that's sort of what we look at today. Like today we look at, in our environment, selling is more of a mutual fit assessment or mutual fit assurance test. Another thing that in the sales process today, I look less at convincing. By the way, this is $1 million tip right here. I look less at convincing someone to buy from me, and I focus more on finding reasons why they shouldn't buy from me, which infinitely puts a lot less pressure on both parties and is more elegant and leads to more yeses than the other way, because you essentially put yourself on your prospects, on your potential client's side of the equation, right? You forego of your benefit for their benefit kind of theoretically here. So a few things I want to really highlight really quick before we move on. And if you're just joining us, we're talking really about kind of changing your approach to selling from inside out, really, which will help you being less horrible at sales. So number one is like, if you look up, actually before this show, I wanted to know like, what's actually the definition of selling, right? So definition of selling, kind of the most popular thing out there is that it's an exchange. Like you give or trade one thing for, or hand over one thing in exchange for money. Now, so for me, what comes up is a number of things. Like number one is what is money? And money is kind of a way to express value. So then we have to go into what's value and what's profits. So we have to realize that because we have limited resources, time is, and one of them being time, and we can use this time to acquire a limited number of things, we start to assign value to different things, right? People that have more time will value that time less and are willing to do more with that time. People that have less of, we all have the same, but people that are busy doing other things that become more important to them value time more and put it at the premium where they're willing to pay more for buying some of that time back. Ultimately, value is all about increasing happiness to each of us, right? We do things or buy things because they make us happier. So for me, this is a couple of big important things before we go any farther. Number one, this definition of profit, that it's an increasing happiness by replacing one situation with another, right? So something that's causing you, friction, unhappiness, dis-ease, and you are willing to spend money or time, right, to remove this and increase your happiness, increase your ease, decrease the friction, be happier. And then, so in that term, my definition of selling is an equal exchange of profits. Like what a profit is to me, or high value that brings me happiness, is different for others. I may have more of a marketing know-how, and I've got plenty of it. Someone else may need it, and they may be willing, that in fact, they may need it and value it so much that they'll be willing to invest some of the dollars, which is also a form of value, all right? So we all have, actually, some of you that have been hanging out in our world for a while may have heard a training from one of our grad clients, Stacy Hartman, which talks about energy exchange. And I really think that as we go farther through this topic today, you're going to see that, selling really is this game of confidence. And very more important, like the process of helping someone make a decision is a game of confidence. Like if you allow their excuses, their stories, their fears get in the way of them increasing their happiness, that will actually decrease your happiness by deciding against buying from you, right? Versus if you show up with a confident focus on helping them increase their happiness, they will likely make a decision for a yes and increase your happiness in the process as well. I know I'm making it very mumbo jumbo and woo-woo, but we'll clarify it as we go along here. I get a little woo sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little woo with major strategy is a good thing.
Very cool. Look, woo comes with my look. Robert says, love the beard. Thank you, Robert. By the way, I was actually really worrying about this because my barber is on vacation. and I didn't quite get a chance to get a trim before today. And I'm like, dang it. I really look like, Santa Claus on vacation or something.
So we'll wait a week and see you groomed next week. So that's all good. So for those who are joining us today, well, there's a reason to come back so that, like we can see, or they can see what.
So, bro, let's shift gears a little bit, and maybe you can talk just a little bit about, like from your perspective, and you have so many experiences watching people through our revenue rev up game. Like, why are people not so good, or why are people so horrible at selling?
There is this word again.
It's like, people really are pathetic. So you know what I mean by this? Like, I have seen so many clients, and we have made people that have sold millions and millions of dollars as clients. And theoretically, they're good. But the reason they're horrible because they've sold those millions of dollars using very antiquated, very pressure-based methods.
Sure.
So that's number one. And then we see people that just have the wrong idea of what selling is. They're so afraid of it. And then we have like those in between that go like, well, I am really good. Like if you get me somebody belly to belly, toe to toe, I can sell anybody on anything. And then we start watching them in the process and they crumble. And the only thing they're really good at is talking people out of doing business with them. I think that's why I wanted to use this word horrible, because most people really are horrible. Anyway, I'll shut up and let you talk about it.
Talking somebody out of doing business with you. And then there are those who have fun with sales, who say that, like, I love sales. It's really fun. But I think that people are really horrible at this sales conversation, this whole process of selling, because first of all, they really do not know what kind of value they provide and how they create it. And very often, and I think that we bring this saying, drink your own Kool-Aid, which is really valid in here. When you are really solidly assured that what kind of transformation you provide for your clients, your conversation around that is really easy. And another thing is, if you are not sure, when people in our RI are not really 100% sure what their offer is, then it makes this sales conversation actually really bad for them. Another thing, you touched upon confidence and this transference of energy in the sales exchange. When people come with low energy and they are not confident, low energy is not really being confident. They are really scared and afraid of being rejected. And that the truth is that when you do not close the sale, it's not because people do not like you. It's because they do not want, need, or don't have time or money for whatever you offer to them. So that fear of rejection is very often unreasonable, but it is connected very much so to energy that we bring into the whole conversation. So I just want to switch to this whole conversation and managing the energy. And a lot of people who are not doing well in sales really don't manage the energy very well, whether in the sales context or bringing it anywhere else. For example, people get distracted, and I know it for myself. When I enter and I have something at stake, I let myself sometimes to be distracted by everything that is going around me. When you enter into the sales conversation, just watch where your energy is so that anything around you does not affect you. But a lot of that also has to do with people having hidden agenda. And frequently it is this need to make a sale. When you have this hidden agenda, that energy is really felt by the other side. So it's woo, but at the same time, it's not really so woo. Like when you talk somebody to somebody and they like, God damn it, I want to sell you something. They like clutching, their language is a little bit different. You can feel this whole energy and it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the person who is on the other side. So, and that's the next point, that when you come into the conversation with this need, you come as a sleazy person. You come as a needy, sleazy person because you have to make that sale, right? When you remove that from the equation and when you come with ease, you make it fun. So a lot of clients, a lot of people who play the RI and they discover that they love the conversation, they just have this energy of fun, joy, pleasure of talking to people on the other side, right? And another thing around energy is when you focus on yourself, not on the other person, not on the person on the other end, then that's when sales really truly becomes a horrible experience for both sides. And last but not least, ignoring where the other person is energy-wise. So if somebody is very low and you come like high and pitchy and energetic, it doesn't jive with another person. And the reverse is also true. If you are very mellow and you come across somebody who is like super hype and jolly and fun loving, and you're like monotonous and truly like no fun, nothing is going to happen. So there has to be a synergy, energy, and mutual fun in the sales process. That's what, you know, like that's what I love when I go and I'm on the receiving part, like buying the car. I like to talk to somebody who is like equal energy or who can match it and switch that around to make it happen.
You know, it's funny you mentioned buying the car, because what I was actually thinking right now is that story where we did a whole episode of we called it Marketing Mentors TV back then,
right?
On our adventure of buying a car for Paulina. Which, by the way, I'm one of those dads that swore I would never buy a car for my kid. And then here's a little pointers for you from Karen Bo. And then we ended up, she was desperately needing a car to take advantage of this internship. And, you know, I broke and we went and got a car. But what a horrible experience it was in like 3 or 4 different dealerships where, again, they were distracted by whatever. They were all about themselves. They were not clear what the value actually was. Like the value for our kid was having, for me, the value was let's get a safe car that will protect her. For her, the value was having it equipped inside with gadgets that can plug her phone.
Connectivity, pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
that can blast the music, and you know, and I am concerned that it's not too loud. And he's opening the hood, showing me the engine. I'm like, dude, you just like, fortunate, you know, hopefully we will never open the hood for as long as we own this car, right? And he's showing us, let me show you the engine. I'm like, wrong value. This is not what you're buying. You're completely unclear. And then another thing, you know, they were being disrespectful almost, or disregardful to our thing. Like we're coming cash in hand going, let's buy the car. And rather than going like, what are you really looking for? They were like, well, let's just, you know, let's distract you by a bunch of things. And then final thing, when we raised some objections, they were like, nah, this is stupid questions. I'm like, I'm a buyer. There's no
totally ignoring our concerns. Yes, that's a valid point. Yeah.
So again, this is like ignoring other person's energy. Like we were walking in ready to buy, and they were slowing us down, showing us the wrong things. Like so many wrong things with that. So Lisa, any of your own stories of like people completely going off when take your money?
Yeah, and it's also a car story. When I was buying my second car, I was around 20 years old. I had just had Allie, and I knew what I wanted. I was going from a yellow Mustang, which a baby car seat doesn't fit very nice in the back of, to I wanted a mom mobile, so I was getting an Explorer. I knew what I wanted. We're a Ford family. My dad loves Ford, so it's in my blood. And I knew what I wanted, and I went to the dealership and I said, I want a black car, you know, gray interior, not leather. I explained everything I wanted, and he didn't have that on the lot. So instead of serving me, even though he maybe couldn't do it there at his own dealership, he said, oh, look at this one. Close your eyes. What do you see? Not my car, dude. And he was totally not listening to me. He tried to sell me on something that I clearly didn't want. So that's like something that was a really big point to me. And he didn't get the sale. I went to the finance guy, told him what I want. He brought it from another dealership. And all I did was go in to sign the papers and take my keys. And that experience was so incredibly valuable. And we talk about that with our clients. It's, you know, the blank page pitch, basically, right? You listen to the other person and you deliver what they want. You don't try to manipulate it or make it different, because that's not listening. That's not making them feel heard and valued. And I think that's so important. And this just goes into so many of the mistakes. And Bo actually touched on this a lot. So I do want to talk about some mistakes, but I'll keep it brief. You know, keeping it to one audience and one solution. I think sometimes when we're talking to everybody, we're actually talking to nobody. And you probably have heard that saying because we're not clear on who we're speaking to and what offer solution that we can provide them. And because we get so desperate sometimes to make the sale, we miss out on a bigger opportunity, which is to provide value and service no matter what. So for example, this car salesman could have provided that value and service to me where I would be a return customer had he looked at other dealers to try to get it to me, you know, even though it was miles and miles away, like make me feel special or I'll go elsewhere. And I think that we do the same thing in business sometimes. We want to just like get a sale, so we'll do anything that they want rather than sticking to our own genius and providing them a solution, even if it's not you. Another big mistake, again, is like not listening to exactly what they want. And again, providing them the service and value, making them feel important, because that can go a lot longer than you messing it up by being manipulative and just trying to get a sale. So they go somewhere else and they never return. On the flip side, if you're somebody who really makes them get taken care of, they're going to return over and over again for different things, including your own services. I think another thing is like people have maybe a script that they got from a program that they were in or a coach gave to them, and they want to follow it so direct that they're very rigid in their conversation and they're not being flexible and just human around having a conversation and listening again and exploring opportunities for success. I think that's really important. We get so attached to like, again, let me get this sale versus how can I help you today? What is it that you need? What would make you happy and successful? And then listening is so important versus talking. So I think those are some of the biggest points. You know, it's like, don't try to teach them anything on the spot. Don't try to solve things for them right now. Just listen and then paint the picture of what the possibility could look like of them working with you if it's a good fit. Or if not, like give them a roadmap and let them see what is possible for them and their best steps.
Yeah, you know, it's like what comes to mind. I think again, what comes up for me a lot is like this creating of value, not making assumptions, validating everything. You know, we did our training for our clients yesterday through our action coaching call, and we actually did this art of blank page pitch. And I love this, right? When Michelle did it first, and I went through it again. Yeah. I love that, like our approaches were different. I think some of the things that really came up for me were the things that we often don't know what value.
Did you lose Adam's audio?
Did we lose my audio?
Me?
I think it's just you. I can hear Adam.
Come on, it's a voice of God. I'm heard everywhere.
I think mine went off.
Even without internet, at least you're supposed to be hearing me. I have very small ego too, by the way, which is horrible when you're selling. But you know what came up for me in this process of watching her do this and me do this, I think I do it so naturally. Again, I don't know if it's the best way to do this or not. I just know it's working incredibly well, both when I do this and when I observe clients do this. It is not introducing, really knowing what the value is. So often we think that we must teach a lot. We must solve the problem. And when that happens, we have to realize, look, if money has not exchanged hands, the person hasn't really made a decision to solve the problem. We can pile on a bunch of tips and strategies and teachings for them. They won't use any of them. We actually really didn't deliver any value. We just made them and ourselves feel kind of good in the moment. It's like a sugar rush. When you're really starving and you eat a candy, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, oh my God, kids are bouncing off the walls after sugar. But 15 minutes later, you're depleted again. You've got no energy. So it's the same thing in selling. With the real value is actually helping someone get clear, help them make the right decisions and actually move forward and follow through on those decisions, right? That's the actual process. That's what the value is. And lots of people just go about it all sorts of different and wrong ways. So anyway, let's talk really quick about How can someone get a copy of our book once again, our free report, our program? So Lisa, I want to take that on for a moment.
Yeah. So again, I've seen a lot of #gold with your amazing takeaways in the comments. Keep them coming. Even if you're watching the replay, use #gold, share a takeaway or aha, something valuable that we're sharing that you like. And we will next week announce a winner and send them Adam's book, Fastest Path to Cash. But you have to use #gold, and we will announce that winner next week. We also have a free report that we'll send you. If you're interested, you can use #rapid, and we will send you the Rapid Cash and Clients report. It's amazing, very actionable, and easy to implement. Things that you can do right away within a few days if you are serious about it and get results immediately. And finally, if you'd like some information on how to be a part of our Revenue Rev Up Intensive game, which is a ton of fun, we show you a framework of how to bring in your annual income in a quarter. And we have fun doing that. So you can use #RevUp, and we will reach out to you to give you some more information on that.
Love that. I want to highlight a couple of comments really quick. So, man, Karen, you're such an equal opportunity cheater upper. You found gold from everyone. So we've got some gold from Lisa here, asking what would make you happy. Love that. It's a great takeaway. And then earlier we had one from Leslie, match the other person's energy and have fun. And I like that. And then she talks about, you know, being a fire hose, kind of this fireball of energy, not so exciting, but just being a friendly human being, you know, just approachable, warm, enthusiastic, maybe, right? But again, at the leveled level. How is that? Love that. And then let's see, something else. Blank page pitch. Oh, Karen says she wants a replay. Karen, it's coming. There'll probably be a message about this tomorrow. There's a whole new page being put together because, again, we switch how things are done in our action coaching course. Little insider's info here. All right. Let's see. Game. Another endorsement from Karen about RRI game. Absolutely. Type in Rev Up, we'll hook you up. All right.
Karen's not even, she's in a current game for everyone watching. And an earlier comment, she's already ready to play the next one. So we toot our horn, of course. We want to give you value, but even our clients are coming back and letting you know that it's incredible and fun.
Supposedly the game is like crack. Once you get hooked on it, you need like seriously a recovery program to wean yourself off.
But crack is horrible, Adam.
So people still like it. I heard.
We can say RRI is like a happy pill, maybe.
Happy pill. Oh my gosh. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? It's like we do all stupid comparisons. If someone hears this for the first time, they go like, "What is this nonsense?"
Who are these people?
We are getting better. One of these days we'll actually figure out how to do this show the right way. Whatever
I think we are doing it the right way, Adam. I like it.
And you know why? Because we're doing it. Right?
We're doing it.
Imperfect action.
You see,
we talk our
this
walk.
is the part from our meetings where it's completely irrelevant, and it's completely that, and then we get all excited and go like, yeah, that's a good one. We got to write that one down. All right. So let's get into some practical tips in terms of being less horrible.
How to do it nicely, how to do it less horribly, right?
How to not suck so bad at selling. This is even worse. All right. No, how to be better at selling and more effortless, more elegant at it. All right. So we've got 8 tips for you really quick. I think the first one for me is that one of the biggest reasons we mentioned earlier, people are not as good is because they're afraid of rejection, and they confuse sympathy with empathy. Being empathetic. Let me actually show myself here on the screen fully. So being empathetic is relating to someone's situation, but still being able to maintain the distance. Sympathetic is essentially getting into that situation with them, buying into their story, into their circumstances, and therefore making yourself completely unable to help them lift above where they are right now, right? So that's a big difference. And the reason we do this is because we have unhealed trauma and drama in our own lives. Like most of us can relate to being pressured and not wanting to do something under pressure. Many of us can relate to someone not having financial resources at the moment, or being pulled in many different directions and not having enough time, or feeling very overwhelmed and frazzled, or because of current drama or trauma going on, being very fragile and just being in a very sensitive place where making a decision is just not very easy for them at the moment. Like we can all relate to that. So when someone comes up with stories and excuses, right? Like how they need to postpone a decision, or how they have financially not in the best spot to make a decision, or how they need to talk with someone, or whatever they bring up, right? We buy into this immediately, and because we feel sympathy, we start feeling their pain. We relate it to our own past experiences. We immediately go like, oh, okay, yes, I know. Yeah, money is hard. Yeah, right now, everybody is struggling. Oh, it's very difficult. Okay, I understand. Let's start next year. Next year, they might be freaking dead, right? And they die of starvation because you didn't share with them your information, how to improve their lives. Or next year, they might be, I don't know, divorced, or eaten by the obnoxious kids who are not trained how to behave better and attack them out of anger for not being let out. Anyway, Lisa is like, this is going nowhere fast. All right. But you get my point. So really the big first step here is, for me, you've got to grow yourself first. You've got to continually become your next better version of yourself. This also includes like being interested in other people, just being a good, decent human being, right? Which actually brings me to my second tip, and that's about clarity. Like, be clear about who you are, what do you stand for, what do you actually sell, like what's the real value? So, when I talked about our experience of buying a car, the real value was a safe car that will never break down. They'll protect my daughter. They'll provide her entertainment value while she is in it. And what I was not interested in is in how it's going to be delivered, meaning the engine and the size of the wheels and the exhaust system. I couldn't care less. And meanwhile, they were trying to sell me that they were not being clear what the value was, right? So you got to be clear what the value is. For many of you, or many of us who sell professional services or our expertise, it's so important to be clear why we are doing this, right? What actually drives us behind the scenes. For us and marketing mentors, for me personally, the passion always is improving our people's lives, helping people think more entrepreneurially so they can really fully live out their passion, right? And tap into the full potential. So that's the top two. Grow yourself first and be clear. Lisa, you want to take it on from here?
Yeah, I love when you share that behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but the real impact that we want to make at Marketing Mentors. All right, I talked about it a little bit earlier. People first. It really is about being a human being. You are not going to be sneaky and go after people or try to get a sale. Like, those words are, I think, what creates this feeling of yuckiness and horrible, the horrible title of what selling is. And sometimes we say that, just kind of in conversation, but try to like pay attention to that and just think about how you can have a conversation with somebody who is another human being on the other side of the phone, or even in person. And that's really all it is. I mean, you're actually always selling yourself, even when you're not making an offer. You're selling people on who you are and the kind of vibe and feeling that they're going to get when they're around you. And when you're giving them value and you're just being real and normal with them, that goes so much further. And like, seriously, the selling becomes easy. Like, you get to sell in such an easy and effortless way. I mean, yes, you still have to be bold and assertive and actually ask for the sale, but you've already delivered value and kind of pre-sold the person just by being a human being with them. We talk about sometimes it's like at a cocktail party, you wouldn't go to somebody and say, oh, here's my invoice. How would you like to pay? You get to know them, you have a conversation, and you just start building a relationship. So people first is the number one thing in what I think selling is. And if we adopt that mindset, it really does become a lot easier and just effortless.
My favorite one is be present, and it ties very nicely to care about people first, because when you are present, you actually stay tuned to what the other person really wants and needs. It really means listening more, asking questions, staying curious. And there's this saying that the person who listens controls the conversation. It's not the one that talks. And usually the talking is the fastest way to losing actually the sales. So staying curious and paying attention to what the other person's issues are would allow you to really find out what they truly want. The things that are said, how they are said. I think it's also important how they are saying those things. So listening not only with your ears, but with your eyes, the body posture, the whole surrounding. So truly staying in the moment and not thinking about the next script that you have to follow through with, but truly tuning in and having a conversation. So just listen and shut up.
I love that. You know, for me, next one is really about asking for permission. And I think we've mastered this when it comes to like our whole process of generating leads through spotlighting, the blank page pitch conversation. So to me, it's always about, number one, even when you inviting someone to have a sales conversation, asking for permission to even present them with some information, and also giving them permission to say no. So to me, it's like when you ask for permission, you're giving permission to say no. It's very important, right? When you ask someone to, or when you're asking for permission to repeat to them or offer them something of value or suggest a solution, it's equally important that you give them permission to reject that invitation. Because when they do this, right, they feel they're already empowered, they're in control. And that's vitally important. Bo, you talked about that whoever listens more or whoever says less is in control, whatever it is, or whoever asks questions. But it's so important that, you know, we give buyers a great experience of actually buying rather than being sold by continually asking for permission and giving permission. Sometimes I can be brutal in sales conversations. I can be brutal in coaching, which to me is kind of one and the same. Sometimes when you sell, you coach someone to make a decision, right? When you coach someone to solve a specific situation. And I can be brutal in terms of addressing things that need to be addressed. And I very frequently, actually, I never get pushback. Most frequently, I get thank yous for being brutal with people. And why is it? Because I asked them, hey, is it okay if I point something out? Hey, by the way, it's not going to be pleasant. Is it still okay? And by the way, no is okay, right? If you don't want to know about it, if you're not ready, if you're not in a place to receive something like this, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it at all, or maybe not this very moment, right? But you have to realize, I see something that I believe would be of value, but you are fully in control whether or not you want to receive it. All right, just be prepared when you're giving permission to dish it out. It may be brutal, maybe the most brutal thing you've ever heard. All right, is it still okay? So I'm sort of demonstrating here kind of a weird way of doing this. But again, asking for permission, giving permission, very important to me. All right.
I have another one. I think it's really important when selling to provide insights versus solutions. And this is really important because all of us, we don't like to be told what to do, right? Especially if we're just kind of getting to know someone, we're having a first or second conversation maybe. We don't want to be told what to do. It's like in the movies we've all seen where an assistant comes up with this brilliant idea and the boss ignores it and they keep talking and then all of a sudden they've got it and it's the same idea. So instead of just saying to the other person like exactly what they need because you know what they need, it's better to help them by providing value and helping them to make a decision if they want to solve it right now. So it's providing insights, painting the picture, asking questions, getting them to reveal to themselves that this is my problem This is my solution, and yes, I'm ready to solve it now. And that will get you a lot further than just trying to solve everything for them.
Love that. I think this was our number 6.
Yes.
Got a quote here from Karen. So I've got 2 more really quick. My number 7 is selling value, not the process. And I mentioned that earlier. Again, I think the best example from kind of a world at large was the car salesman trying to sell me the engine, which is how the car works, the process, rather than selling me the value, which was the safety and the equipment that was important to my daughter inside the car, right? The fun experience of driving that car for her, safety of that car for me. So when we sell to the clients, the value is what they want. And if we start bringing in like, well, that's also valuable and that's value. And by the way, here's how we do this, like through a bazillion of processes and meetings and assessments or whatever, we essentially start talking people out of doing business because no one really cares about the process, right? Intelligent human beings understand there will be some process involved. Some of it might not even be as fun. But, you know, it's like selling a surgery, a heart surgery. I wouldn't consider that a fun experience. And if you describe to someone how horrible it will be to break their chest open, right, rip out the ribs and pull the heart out and maybe replace it with another one, you know, normal sane human being will go like, no way in hell. But, you know, what really is being pitched is like, this is a life-saving situation. This will allow you to live for a little while longer. And then it's like, never mind the process. We won't even, like, eventually we have to describe it, but that's not what's being sold. And the last thing, number 8, is really letting go of any attachments. So for those of you hanging out with us for that late, for this long, almost the end of the hour, I'm going to share with you my favorite way to open nearly all my sales conversations. It's so habitual to me at this point. I don't even think about it. It's almost like I'm having a hard time starting any other way because, you know, I consider this such a vital statement to opening this relationship where I would tell people, look, you know, we've got whatever, 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever the time length is. And here's what I want you to know. I've got 0 vested interest in any particular outcome, like 0, no attachments, no hidden agendas, with maybe one exception. And that is to leave you, hopefully, in some way, shape, or form, better off than you are at this very moment, whatever it might be, slight breakthrough, a tip, you know, a recommendation, a solution of some sorts. Would that be okay with you? Right? No one ever says no. And again, to me, it's a natural thing. Like, I am here to help other human beings being better off in some way, shape, or form. And that's what I'm trying to do. All right. Let go of any attachments except for that of being of value to another person. And when you do that and you stay true throughout the entire call to that initial statement, magic happens. Because what might actually happen, that the transformation, the impact, making people better off, it turns out that it's actually the way to do this is to make them an offer and to allow them to buy that thing, right? But if you attach yourself to that, like, I'm going to make a sale, I'm going to make some dollars here, it never works out the same way. So that's very important. All right. Any other insights, tips on this, ladies?
I just wanted to add to this that, you know, you talk about letting go of attachment on both sides, but actually that's putting both of you at ease, that no matter what decision is made, it's the right decision at the moment. And you know, like, so this way, neither one of you has to think about excuses why the transaction is done or why it isn't done, because it's just okay. And it puts you at ease in the very beginning of the conversation. So I like how you frame it at the very beginning of it. That, you know, it's like nothing wrong would happen. We will part as friends. You know, like you don't have to like chocolate chip cookies because you like the oatmeal and raisins, right? And it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad cook or baker, whatever. So that's it.
Very cool. Love it. All right, ladies and gents, if you're just tuning in, we just spent about an hour talking about how to stop being horrible at selling, or how to actually make your sales process more enjoyable, more elegant, and more often than not lead to a favorable outcome for you and your brand new amazing clients. So here's what we talked about really quick. Number one is what selling really is and what it isn't. And what we talked about is that selling is an equal exchange of value and profits. There is no winners and losers. And the faster you start thinking that selling is being of service to someone else, the faster you will start improving your results. Then we talked about why are people so bad at selling? And primarily it's because they talk too much. They don't listen enough. They don't pay attention. They come with an energy that's all self-focused rather than, again, being focused on another person. And then we talked about some specific mistakes, like not being clear who your ideal clients are, what solutions you actually are selling, what the value is that you actually provide. Maybe blindly following the scripts, being inattentive to the other person. And then we actually talked about 8 ways, kind of more energetically, more mindset-wise, to improve your sales. Number one, being really growing yourself first, becoming a better version of you continually, the kind of version that cares about other human beings. Number two, about being clear about who you are, what you stand for, what your solutions are, who your ideal clients are that you can really impact. Number three, people first. Right? Always make it about the other person, never about you. Remember, there's another human being with their concerns, problems, challenges on the other end, and they're here conversing with you for their reasons, not yours. Number four, being present. This is so amazing. People can sense this. If you're distracted, if you're paying, even as I'm doing this right now, you're noticing I'm glancing at notes, and that makes me unpresent momentarily with you. People sense that. When you unpresent to their responses, their energy, their behavior, they sense that, right? There is a disconnect in the conversation. It's so important. Number four, ask for permission. Ask for permission to provide things, to say things. But also when you do that, give permission back to reject your request, right? This is a mutually empowering process when you ask for permission and give permission. I believe number 6 was about providing insights. On the conversation, in the selling process, you are not there to solve problems. You are there to help people get realizations and clarity about what problems they really have, what real solutions might look like, and whether or not they really should be focusing on solving those problems. Really insights and ahas, not the actual solutions. Number 7, I talked about it kind of in between the lines. It really is about selling value. People don't buy how you do things. People do buy how what you do will make them better at the end. Sell that. Sell what will make people better, not how you're going to provide this. And finally, number 8, let go of any attachments. This isn't about let's show up for the call and see how much money I can extract for someone. This is really, if you want to have attachments on the sales process, the only attachment you really want to acquire or make is to provide some sort of transformation, some sort of lift to another human being. That's about it. But disattach yourself from anything else. All right, ladies and gents, that is the wrap for the day. One final thing, I'm going to do this. I just have to do that. All right, number 1, if you're listening on replay, definitely do a hashtag gold. We'll hook you up with a copy of our book. Any one of you can wave the book here. I don't have a copy with me. Ta-da! Rapidly. There we go. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Awesome. Number 2, if you would like to know more about our micro training that can accelerate your sales, do hashtag rapid. And then number 3, if you would like to know more about our actual programs, type in RevUp and we'll hook you up with more info. All right. Thanks for being here. As always, remember, an ounce of implementation is worth a ton of information. So go out there, implement, execute on the ideas from today's program, and it will improve your sales conversations, will help you impact more people and create more income for you and your company. All right, that's it for today. Until next time, same place. Cheers, everyone.
Next week.
Till next week. Bye.